What's up, guys? It's your girl Rivah, and I'm back again with another video. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Rivah. It's very nice to meet you. Before we get into this video, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up. And as I always say, make sure you guys leave your comments in the comment section down below. It does not matter how you feel about this video. We all want to talk about it. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, follow my Instagram. It's at RIVAH _JORDON, and here we are. I like this already. It says uncomfortable conversations with a black man, and in this episode they talk about interracial relationships. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into the video.
Welcome to another episode of Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. You see, prior to 1967, if these couples were to join me on stage, they would have to look like this. Because this would have been illegal. It probably still makes you a little uncomfortable. I'm joined now by Rachel and Brian of season 13 of The Bachelorette, most notably the first black bachelorette in the show's history, also joined by Lindsey Vonn, Olympic gold medalist and PK star defenseman for the New Jersey Devils. But I want to start with an email that I received, and I really want to focus on the interracial aspect of all of this, because someone asked me, they said, Emmanuel, as a black man, do you feel betrayed when you see a black woman with a white man? And I might not necessarily say I feel betrayed, but I feel some type of way. Rachel, you and I, we go back. And so I'm going to tell you something that I haven't told you before. 2017, I'm watching The Bachelorette, and I see finally they chose a black woman. They chose a black queen. And I'm thinking to myself, surely she's going to pick a black king. I know nothing about Brian, I never met the guy. But all I see is Rachel picked a guy who is seemingly white. I felt some type of way about that. What would you say to someone who shared those sentiments?
First of all, I could completely understand why he would feel some type of way. You know, it's the first time that you see a black bachelorette that's represented on TV. You know, so you are going to want to stand there and be like, yes, like advocating for the fact that she's automatically going to pick like a black man. It's going to be like a black love story, like on TV in front of the world to see. That throughout all the people that she has in front of her, she's going to choose a man like herself or a man like her own. So I could understand as a black person watching that on TV why he would feel that type of way.
What would you say to that?
Well, friend, I don't even know if I should say friend after you just said that to me. No, I'm kidding. But honestly, I had to say, you know what? My journey of love can't be any different just because the color of my skin is. And people can't judge me for picking someone who doesn't look like me. Like, I feel like they expect me to pick someone who looks just like me, but that's not fair. They should just want me to fall in love with whoever it is that I vibe with.
You know, I think about this quote, and I was thinking about this yesterday. It says,
And to her answer, I can understand, you know, and like it, and if that is based off of like she just said, like her vibe with somebody, the way that she connects with somebody genuinely, I can understand that those sentiments also. Like, it's just about how she feels about the situation or how she connected with the people who were put in front of her, you know, because it wasn't a global thing. It was like a selection of people who she had to choose from in front of her. So,
enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? We all remember that. If the enemy of my enemy is my friend, then the friend of my enemy is my enemy. And I was thinking, historically speaking, white people are the enemy of black people. So when you see a black person with the white person, then all of a sudden you're like, wait, you're with the enemy. Have you lost friends based on who you love being a black man?
that's a big point because, I mean, if we're going to be real, that's how a lot of black people see it. You know, we look back and we say, like, you know, that they were the enemy to us. You know, they were the ones who did this and who did that, and it's their ancestors and blah, blah, blah. And we put the blame on people that are sitting right in front of us. And that's very, very true. I know a lot of people who genuinely feel that way and think that way, right? However, there is another flip side to that coin where in actuality, everybody's heart is different. You know, you have some people who really like, you have some people who genuinely feel like, man, like I really have to, you know, make the difference, and I'm gonna go to every march, and I'm gonna do everything, and I'm gonna stand with you in solidarity, and I'm gonna, you know, and they hold that burden of what people before them did, you know, just to be able to side, and because they empathize with the pain. Now, again, I completely understand what he's saying, especially as a black woman, where, you know, you look at it and you're saying like, oh my gosh, it's almost like you're like colonizer and slave. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it seems, and that's how it looks when you see it at first sight, for many people.
I wouldn't say I've lost friends. There has been a lot of difficult moments with people that I'm very close to that it's been very hurtful, and I don't know exactly how to approach it. I don't know how to communicate our relationship to them in a way that they understand. I don't know how to get rid of racism and just allow them to see him for the person that he is. I don't know how to do that, and that is why I want to talk, because
No, I love. I'm gonna tell you something. I love every moment of it.
Why?
Because what this promotes is growth and strength in our relationship, and I'm not against that. Adversity is a great thing. When people show true colors, this world is full of a lot of people. Not everybody's going to be accepting of everything.
Do you not have a problem with the fact of when black people are seen with white people, to a degree, to the black person, like, you've lessened your blackness? Like, Rachel, you are an intelligent woman, law degree, well-spoken, you're with Brian, good dude, but he's not black. People look at you and you're like, Rachel shouldn't even be talking. Like, she's not even black.
I've experienced that, and hearing you talk about the way you grew up, you've probably experienced that your entire life. I've always been told that I wasn't black enough, and I'm not even I don't have, you know, any white in my blood. Actually, I don't know if that's true, but just, I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, I am not biracial is what I'm saying. Like, I'm a black woman, and I've always been told that I wasn't black enough because of the way that I grew up, the experiences that I had. And so
this is a really really interesting conversation, because this is a lot different than the people who say like, oh, you know, I don't want to be with no, you know, black man, so I'm gonna go get me a white man because black man ain't this and black man ain't that. This is a very different situation. So what she's saying about like not being black enough, that's a big thing that that we have from our own culture, and I would say from the women in our culture, not necessarily the men, but from the women within our culture, right? Like, other black women will look at black women and say, oh, you're not black enough, or, oh, girl, you ain't black, or you don't get that, or why you talk like a white girl, or why you this, or why you that, and they kind of push you a little bit of a way, and that's just me being honest, because I've had those experiences as well, where people are like, oh, you're not black enough, or you're a white girl, or you're this, or you're that, you know, and they kind of push you away, so you kind of feel like, well, where do I fit in? When in actuality, black people are everything. Like, we're everything. You know, we're intelligent, we're smart, we can listen to any different genre of music, we can speak intelligent, you know, we can, you know, I don't even know all the words that I was gonna say, but we can speak, like, you know, effectively. You know, we all have like a voice that we can turn on and turn off, our customer service voice and stuff like that, but like, we know how to enunciate. Like, we're intelligent people. So when people try to say that if you're intelligent or when you speak properly that you are now not black enough, now it puts certain people in situations where they kind of feel like, well, where do I fit in? And then they do start to look elsewhere, which is, I mean, you'll see it around their friendships. Like, they only have those kind of friends. They only have those kind of, like, you know, homegirls and stuff like that. So that is a part that, especially as black women, that we should be able to understand the many facets of being a black woman. It does not mean that you only talk, walk, eat, certain things. You know what I'm saying? Or a certain way, in a certain manner. It does not mean those things.
100% honest, and you know this. It was something that I thought before I came onto The Bachelor. Up until I was 30, I really didn't date seriously outside of my race because I felt like society, not my parents, not my friends, society was telling me I had to pick a black man.
I got an email and it pierced my heart. She said, "Can you help me? What can I do as a white woman to be more accepted by black women?" What would you say?
I don't know the answer to that. I feel like, PK's family and his friends, his family's friends, everyone has been so accepting of me. And I just try to be kind to every person that I meet. And even if they hate me because I'm with a strong black man, I'm still the same person. I know that I'm a good person. I know that
It doesn't make you sad.
It does make me sad because it actually, not sad, it makes me feel extremely guilty.
Why?
Because I am taking a strong black man away from them.
Wow.
But I love him, and I mean, I shouldn't be penalized for that, I don't think, but there is the reality that that is true.
I was not expecting her to say that at all. Talk about her not beating around the bush, okay? She's like, it makes me feel guilty because at the end of the day, I am taking a strong black man away from the black community, but I love him. So I'm going to do what I'm doing because I want to be with him. You know what I'm saying? But do I see why other black women might be a little upset about this situation? Yeah, because he's a really good man, and if you want to keep your race together, I have him. Like, I cannot believe she just said that, but I mean, kudos to her for being 100% and being extremely straightforward and honest about her feelings. I really, really respect that.
What then would you say, Rachel, because you are the black woman? What can a white woman do to be more accepted by black women if the only reason she's not accepted is because she's with a black man?
There's nothing you could do. And what you said like hit me when you said you feel guilty. And you shouldn't feel guilty for loving who you love. That's their problem. There's nothing that you can do to change that. And to be honest, I used to be that black woman. I feel bad saying that out loud. And now being in my own interracial relationship, I was 100% ignorant. I would look and I would see a white woman with a black man, and I would automatically assume certain things. And that's because I was so close-minded. It's a heart issue, and I say that because I used to be that person. And I'm so glad I'm not that person anymore. And if I go back to when I was in that place, there was nothing that you could do other than leave him to make me change my mind, which isn't fair.
For my purposes, do you feel like that applies to me as well, as far as a black man looking at me?
Yeah. I remember the first time I dated outside my race. It wasn't serious. It was before The Bachelorette. And I remember I felt every black man was looking at me like, oh, there she goes. We lost another one. It was my first date, and I just remember wanting to wear a t-shirt that said, I swear this is my first time. Why should I have to think like that?
There was a friend of mine, and he actually later apologized for it, but he actually, when I was with Lindsay, I don't even know if I told you
No,
this.
you didn't. No,
but he broke me down about, like, dude, you need to be with, like, a sister, like, you need to. And I think he had a couple drinks, but I never stopped him or put him in his place. I just let him speak. I just let him speak because I said, this is a lack of education. And we also have to be aware of what hate is and what a lack of intelligence is.
When I was in college as a college athlete, if there was ever a black man dating a white girl, a white woman, it would be said, "Oh, you're with the master's daughter." Like, oh, you're with like the slave master's daughter, kind of as if that was the black man's way to whip the master back, right? Like the white man is a king in his palace, and you can't, as a black man, do anything to touch the white man in society, but you can do something to lie with, to be with the princess.
I love the fact that he's bringing that up because that's a really big situation, and that's something that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about in a long time. Like that was a big thing. Like a lot of people saying that, like, oh, as a man, as a black man, you're getting with a white woman because, how can you get back at Massa is to be with his child. That was a really, really big thing that people talked about, like, for so long. Another thing is like, taking their power back, right? In that same aspect, like being with Master's daughter, taking their power back, and it's like, now she's my wife. You know what I'm saying? Now I tell her what to do, and now I run the show. That's number one. Number two, in all aspects of being genuinely in love with somebody and loving somebody and wanting to connect with somebody and be with somebody for a lifetime, we can talk about people who are only, 100% gung-ho on like, two people being only black, two people being only white, two people being only Spanish, two people being only Indian, two people being only, whatever. But to be genuinely honest, if we're gonna be real, a lot of us would not be who we are. And when I say a lot of us, I'm talking about myself included, but a lot of other people out there would not be who we are, or even look like how we look, or be born where we are born if it wasn't for other people venturing off. If you get what I'm saying. Like, we're all mixed up. All of us. Everybody is mixed up, okay? Unless you're 100% like pure. When you look all the way back, all of your ancestors are, African or wherever, whatever it is. But we're all so mixed up. You know what I'm saying? So I like the fact that the lady who was a bachelorette said that it was a heart issue, because depending on your level, right, and depending on your connection with the person, you should not be penalized by being with somebody that you love and you are treating correctly, right? You're treating them well, you're respectful of them, you're in love with them, and you want all good things to come from the situation, and your intentions are so good and pure. Why should other people care about who you're with? Then that's just keeping it real. And again, I said this in another video, but sometimes I feel it's kind of funny, because there's some women who'll be like, look at him over there with that girl and da da da, but then you don't want him to. So like, what is the problem? Like, there was no line of women waiting to be with this person before he got with somebody from a different race, and now all of a sudden you mad because he went over here, but you guys didn't even want him. And that's not always a scenario, but a lot of times that is, and we're just being honest.
Don't you think that, and what would you say to the black people who have that ideology of kind of like, you're still with the traitor, you're with an enemy?
Well, I would say that those people are searching for something, and I found it, and it's happiness. I don't have to define what makes me happy to anybody, no one. I don't have to define it to my parents, my family. No, I have to live with this person my whole life, right? So I'm sorry, I'm not coming home to you, to anybody here.
Even if, because I have to dig in on this point, because I would be remiss not to. Even if there's the ideology that Lindsay's ancestors would have oppressed your ancestors, you don't feel any guilt in that.
I feel guilty by you just saying that.
No, but
that's how you would think. Like, I'm not associated with what people 4, 5, 6, 7 generations did before me. I mean, because I'm white.
I think it's hypocritical, though. Okay. So if I'm talking about changing the game. I'm talking about changing the narrative, and all of us as a black culture are talking about changing. Well, you can't want change in one ways and not the other way. If we're talking about accepting people for who they are, and seeing people for who they are, and loving people for who they are, and if somebody respects you, respect them back, then it shouldn't matter what color the person. People are saying this is not about black and white. This is a human rights issue.
In closing,
and the thing is true, right? Like, she's saying that she's not attached to what the people before her did, and a lot of people would say that's not true. The same way that black people feel the same kind of trauma from their great ancestors, the same way that you might act or behave in a way based off of what your ancestors have or your privilege. Okay, let's, that. But it's very interesting, because no matter how we individually feel, like if I feel, personally that I will only date black men, right? Or other people, or, I'll only marry a black man, and like another black woman is like, well, I'm not really worried about that. I'm worried about who's going to treat me right. And if I connect with somebody, maybe I meet somebody at work and they're a really nice guy, or, a friend, and, things develop and we get married, and I love him and he genuinely loves me, and I'm not looking out if he's Spanish, Indian, white, Chinese, whatever it is, I am just going to keep it like that. I think individually having a preference is not an issue. I genuinely don't feel like that's an issue. I feel like if you are a black person, okay, and you only want to be with a black person, if you are a white person, you only want to be with a white person, if you're an Asian person, I don't see anything wrong if you want to stick to your own. But in the same token, if we can't only feel like that's the only way that people think, because if people do date outside, and I'm not talking about the people who are bashing their own to go run and seek refuge elsewhere. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the people who are putting down like, oh, black men ain't this and ain't that, so go get you a Tom because he got good credit. Like, I'm not talking about that at all, because that's a completely different conversation. We're just talking about people who are genuinely just open-minded, open to love, and don't care about what it is that you necessarily look like on the outside. They have a deep connection with you and they want to marry you and be with you for the rest of their lives. We should not be penalizing people for that because they don't share the sentiments of, sticking to your own. I don't think that makes sense. There's so many billions of people in the world, right? Billions of people in the world. So how can we penalize people for being with who they love, especially if they have great relationships? I think that that's crazy.
One email that I received. Y'all so cute. there was one email that I received, and I responded to this woman. I said, I promise I will get it answered. And she said, Emmanuel, how can I love my black man, my black husband better? I'm going to ask you, PK, to answer that question to Lindsay, while also realizing you're answering it to the world. How can a white woman love a black man better?
The number one thing that I've learned is that one of the toughest things in my life that I thought was going to come was going to be who I was going to share my life with. You have to let that person in. They have to understand you. They have to know how you deal with things. So for Lindsay, she doesn't have to do anything different. She asks questions all the time. She's there. The responsibility is on me to open it up and not keep that stuff sheltered inside. All I have to do is let her in. And she has to continue to just ask questions.
Rachel.
I mean, you can tell she asked questions. You can tell that she asked some really transparent questions based off of the way that she's answering the questions right here on the show right now.
I guess ended by Brian.
They're killing us over here.
The PDA department.
How would you?
And she's showing so much affection to him because she feels so protected, because she's in a very uncomfortable space and she doesn't feel comfortable with the entire situation and how she's viewed and how people view her. So she's like seeking, him to be like, hug me, please, hold me. Because I don't know the right things to say and I don't know the right things to do, but I'm willing to do the right things and I want to say the right things.
Hey, Rachel's a black woman. How can your white husband love you better?
One of the reasons that I was so against dating outside of my race is because I felt like nobody could understand me like a black man can. And I think that thinking is problematic because I understand me and I get it. And what I need from a partner is someone who is willing to understand things as the way that I do, is willing to ask questions. One time he said, "Are you offended by me asking so many questions?" And that hurt me. Because I felt like, no, I'm not offended. I am so appreciative that you want to understand, you want to grow, you want to learn, and you want to try your best to get things the way that I can. At the end of the day, he's not black, so he's never going to understand my experience fully. But the fact that he's trying to and he wants to, that's all I need. That's all I need out of a partner. And I think that goes beyond just race. Yeah. That's all you need out of a partner, period. Somebody who's willing to understand things the way that you should as a couple, and y'all can learn together and move forward together.
I've learned so much being with Rachel as far as black culture. Like, I thought I knew a lot about black culture growing up, musically, culturally and whatnot, but I've learned so much more being with her as far as educating myself. I mean, we've sat down and watched movies, 13th, Just Mercy, movies that really show the disparity and the horrific things that happen to African Americans on a daily basis. And I think that that's something that non-blacks need to really take a look at. You know what I mean? Because I think that'll really open their eyes.
And what he just said about non-blacks needing to look at these things to open their eyes, these are the things that evoke change, right? These are the things that evoke change. It's not just us talking about it all the time, because they really care what we have to say all the time? No. It's other people that are like, hey, no, this is right. And then they'll go create a whole march and a whole this and a whole that. And next thing you know, a bill's passed and something's signed. You know what I'm saying? So I do agree that the most important parts of a relationship is somebody who loves you, somebody who is willing to understand you and where you come from and your mind and how you think, you know? So I definitely agree with that statement that he just made.
Well, Rachel Bryan, thank you. Lindsay PK, it actually was supposed to be your wedding today.
I know.
It was.
I know.
But coronas.
We're spending it with you guys.
You are.
Wow. So let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section down below. This is like a really touchy subject for a lot of people. But I think it's just, again, I'm gonna just reiterate. There's nothing wrong with dating your own, but there's other people who are going to have different experiences and have different connections with people that they meet elsewhere. And they shouldn't be penalized for that. And again, this is not a conversation about self-hatred, you know, these men ain't this, these men ain't that, so I'm gonna go over here and go get me, you know, a Tom or whatever the case is. This is about just people making real connections with other people and deciding to, you know, take that trod with them. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not following me on Instagram, follow my Instagram. It's @RIVAH_JORDON. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Mwah. Love you.